there's some, I'm having some weird issue getting into Zoom calls. It's like I've been trying to get in, start the process like a couple of minutes before the time, because I seem to sit there and spin for a
Hmm.
while. I'm not sure. Maybe I have to clean up my PC. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm using a Mac. Hey, Pete.
Maybe.
Yeah, I can't say I'm totally thrilled that I went this route. Hi, James. Okay. Can everybody
I
hear
th
me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Alice. I think that
I
everyone
think
that is coming is here. Rich Turner's in the room with
I
me.
see Rich
Lou?
and I see
Um,
Doug. So we have a
yep,
quorum of three.
we do. John Brabant said he's not able to make the meeting, and I'm not sure if you just saw an email
Yeah,
from Mike Miller.
yeah, I have a little bit of chairperson cleanup to do, but things to say at the beginning. So I'd like to have a full house, but we don't. Um, so I'm going to call the meeting to order at exactly 4:02 p.m. And it looks
Recording.
like we have myself and I, Rich Turner and Doug Greason, which makes a quorum. James Crafts, you're from Warren, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, great, thank you. And Peter Carby, hi, welcome.
Yeah, I'm just here to watch the sausage making.
Well, I think we're good at that. I don't know about anything else, but we're good at sausages. So, as I was getting ready for the meeting, I got an email, Brian did. I think the rest of you did. Mike Miller is stepping down from the Regional Plan Committee. Um, he's going to find other ways to be involved in CVRPC. So that's one announcement. And Doug and I had been talking with Christian. Um, Brian, we've got a number of things that I think will help us move our work along better. I think this meeting is when we will finish the housing chapter and the discussion of the goals, policies, strategies, and the words. Our word, I call it the word scramble, the little game you can get in plastic keychain type things. Um, we'll finish the kinds of words that we're looking at to use as suggested and common language when staff and ourselves, when staff writes and we review um, goals, strategies, policies. Um, what was I going to say next? I think one of the things, Brian, we should talk about, maybe you, me, and Doug moving forward, is to get ourselves more a clearer schedule of when things are due and when target dates, what are good target dates for us to
Yeah,
be.
that's on the agenda for today, Alice.
Okay, oh, it's there?
Yep.
Okay, cool. And the other thing is we're looking at, I think it's time now that we can roll back a little bit and meet once a month rather than twice a month. And Brian, we can talk about that too.
Yeah, I
Based,
think we should talk about that during the schedule, Alice, because you'll see that
I see
I
it now.
have made that note. There will be a couple of sort of pressure points when it's likely we'll need to meet to host a special meeting.
Yes,
But again, we can talk about that during the 5:05 regional plan completion schedule agenda item.
okay, and you have the hard stop at 5:30.
I do. I have another evening meeting this evening, so.
Gotcha. So are there any updates to the agenda? No, hearing none. I'll move over and see if there's any public here for comment.
I'm here, but I don't, Alice, this is Steve Whitaker. I don't have anything pressing. I think Mike solved one of my necessary public comments for me.
Okay, thank you. And so you have nothing for right now.
Correct.
Okay, so it looks like what we're gonna do is review and approve the minutes from the August 19th meeting. Did anybody have any problems with the minutes? They looked good to me.
This is Rich. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes, 19 August,
Doug,
2025.
can you? Thank you, Rich. Can you second there, Doug?
I'm on my back foot here. I opened
Oh.
the meeting packet, reviewed it, and I didn't see minutes in there.
Okay, we're on the website.
Minutes are on the website, Doug.
They're not included in the packet.
Minute.
In the past, the packet has included minutes to support it. I didn't look in two places.
We'll make sure that they are in the future.
So no, I haven't read the minutes.
Okay, so do you want to wait on the vote then? And put this off till next meeting?
Yeah, unless there's urgency to it, I would like to wait until I've read them.
Okay. Okay, so I have that, I don't know, is that another, yeah. So Rich, does that work for you? That you can withdraw your motion and we'll have another motion from Doug that we're gonna, take more time to review the minutes and approve them at our next meeting?
Is
That works?
is that a request for a motion from me, Alice?
Yeah,
I move that we put off reviewing the most recent minutes until next meeting.
okay. And Rich, all those in favor? Or we need a second, I guess, Rich.
I don't think Rich has got a chance to withdraw his first movement.
Yeah.
Take the second motion as a tabling of Rich's motion and you solved it, but he still needs a second.
Okay, can you second it for me, Rich?
I'll second that.
Okay,
I'll
So-
second that and remove my first motion. Rescind.
perfect. Perfect. So, the three of us, all those in favor, just thumbs up or say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Okay. Okay. 420, revisiting the regional plan goal. Whoops, I didn't read the whole thing. Goal policies and strategies, keywords. Okay, so Brian, obviously I didn't get you any comments from me like I promised. I got waylaid by not feeling very well for the past couple of days. So you've added some in here?
Yeah, so anything that you see that's italicized and underlined are additions since we last met. And as a reminder, in the instances where there are multiple words, and this will carry over for the strategies and policies as well, instances where there are multiple words, the word that is displayed in bold is the preferred nomenclature as identified by the committee.
Okay, yes. But we're not gonna not allow or tell staff not to use what are, like synonyms, like limit, decrease.
Right,
Yeah.
the priority, Alice, or the general consensus from the last meeting around this was that, in the absence of a good reason, in this case, we would use limit instead of
Mhm.
decrease or reduce, and I don't have the exact example at the top of my head, but as I was reworking the goal strategies and policies for the housing chapter that we'll look at, there were a couple times where, the preferred word just, it didn't make sense, or, so one of the synonyms was used, but generally speaking, we prioritize the use of the preferred language, again, as long as it seems to fit.
Yeah, my comment on that is I like that because, I'm going along writing things. Sometimes one particular word doesn't really quite fit what you're trying to convey. So I think in writing, the actual chapter, I think allowing some latitude by, having keywords that can be used as really the vocabulary guide for the different goals, strategies, policies. I think having some latitude in what actually like sounds good or sounds correct, or the sentence or the concept needs something that is a slightly different from a defined keyword. Does that make sense to anybody?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. So these words are all the ones for goals.
Correct.
Rich and Doug, do you like these?
Yeah, yeah, my concerns are still with clarifying the difference between strategies and policies.
Okay.
In terms of the keywords, Doug, or in terms of what
Yeah,
those actually are?
I guess my first point is that if you guys think it's important to have this range of word choices available to the authors, I'll go along with it. I would prefer it to be more concise and more limited for consistency, but I'm not prepared to make an issue of that. I would like it if somebody could explain to me the difference between promote and support, because it seems as though in a number of the goal sections, am I correct on that? I don't see a big difference between the items that are listed for promote and the items that are listed for support, and you could almost swap the two words and still have it track. So I guess I'd like to know how those two words differ in this application.
Well, that's a good question. Certainly
Yeah, I
didn't
mean,
come up in our conversation last time, so
so let's
hadn't really
look
thought
at it
about
when
it.
we're going, let's look at it when we're going through the individual goals, because there's one which I thought was just raised that question to me. And
Okay.
if there's a reason, great. But if not, something needs to get tightened up.
Yeah, I see promote on here. I don't see support for
So
strategy.
support is in the policies, Alice.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I guess I will say, Doug, that,
Yeah.
and I don't remember if this came up in conversation at the last meeting, but with the policies, this idea of support really directly relates to organizations requesting or municipalities requesting a letter of support
Okay.
from the Regional Planning Commission, and that we were using support in that context to spell out the things that the actions, the preferred outcomes that we would support, and have that clearly stated within the plan, so that when we're writing those letters of support for a grant proposal, for example, we can directly reference, and we support, uh, based on strategy or policy, X, this specific activity.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. Any other comments on these words? Impede? That's an addition, Brian?
It is, yeah. So one thing that we noted, so you'll also see the discourage, avoid, dissuade line as well. There weren't necessarily I mean, everything seemed positive. There weren't things that we wanted to, weren't keywords that we could use to identify things that we didn't want. It was all keywords to identify things that we do. And for the most part, I think is a good approach to write in the positive, but occasionally I do think it calls for one of these more negative type keywords.
Yeah. I'm not sure about bar. Let's dissuade, avoid, discourage.
We have the power to bar or prohibit anywhere. Yeah, so we got our. By our.
This, Rich, I have a general question. I thought when you sent that out, Brian, that anything under the, like, the keywords piece that we're looking at now, if it was italicized, underlined, that was deleted or from the previous, and anything under the goal, strategy, policy that were looked at specifically, it gets, if it was italicized, it was added by staff.
No, you have it almost backwards. So anything that's italicized and underlined in this list are words that staff added since the last meeting.
Okay.
And when we look at the actual goals, strategies, and policies piece, anything that's underlined means that it was moved either from a strategy to a policy or a policy to a strategy.
Okay, okay.
Staff did not add any additional strategies or policies. We just reformulated
Okay.
and in some cases condensed the number of them.
Got it. Thank you for clarification.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for that. Doug, do you have any more comments on this set of
No.
words or no?
No.
Okay, I think we can move on, Brian.
So in terms of the discourage, avoid, dissuade, is there a preferred word there or none of the above?
I think avoid has merit.
To me, bar is not a synonym of discourage, avoid, and dissuade. Bar is a mandate.
Yeah, we can take that one off the list.
I'm not sure. I think discourage and avoid both seem clear and forward-looking. Dissuade seems like you're trying to get, I don't know, it's not as clear. It's like you're trying to get someone to change a position as opposed to affect policy. I'm not sure that's a good dissuade, but dissuade seems different than discourage and avoid. But if we're trying to provide options for the drafters, that should stay in there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a word I use all that regularly, Rich.
I think discourage, I mean, to me, it sounds like it makes the most sense.
Okay.
I think it's a toss-up with discourage and avoid. I can think of some instances when if you're giving a specific example of just say sprawl, okay? Like avoid, you would be avoiding, you could avoid coming up with plans that contribute to sprawl. But I don't know, you could discourage that too.
Well,
Okay, well, it
discourage,
seems,
sorry.
go ahead, Doug.
Yeah, discourage would be referring to someone else's actions. Avoid would be referring to your own actions.
Yeah. I think discourage is, I'd go with that one. As the strongest word there.
All right.
So support is in policies. oppose, prevent, require. How would employ be used?
It is included in one of the policies that, that was written, and I believe it was about, using some kind of data to review a proposal. I don't remember the exact
Right.
example there.
I remember it, Brian, and I thought it was appropriate where it was. I don't remember specifically, but it was about what kind of data analysis to use and employ the most current one seemed what.
Yeah, it was something about demographics and housing distribution or something along those lines. Anyway, we can take a look at it when we get to the next agenda item. It'll come up there.
Yeah.
And again, it's not one that I mean, I say this now, I don't really know, but it's not one that I expect is going to be commonly used, but it seemed like it was a gap in the list of words when we wanted this policy that to me seemed really clear, like we're saying that as a regional planning commission, we should use this approach to evaluating this kind of proposal.
Yeah, and I think that's important. In instances where having data and the correct data is there. Like I'll go back to when we were talking about the population chapter in Waitsfield. We really held firm on making sure that we were basing recommendations or basing a summary that we could have tangible data that we could go back and cite rather than, making up a number for growth. So that makes sense to me that it could come up. Maybe not often, but as much as a reminder of what we need to make the correct decisions.
Yes, agreed.
Okay. So are we good with this list? And we'll keep employ in there?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think I think we're good for the full list for
Yeah.
the time being. And if we see that circumstances require the addition of words with other chapters, again, if we feel like there's a gap in the list of words, we'll be sure to talk to you about it, and
Mhm.
can always we can always figure out if it fits into the current structure or if we need to make changes.
Yeah, I think that's good.
We ready to move on then, Alice?
Doug, did you still, are we ready to look at some of the text that you sent us on the goals, policies, excuse me, strategies, and
Yeah.
see how these words could be used? I think, excuse me, we have time. We could do that.
I did not receive anything from you, Doug.
I didn't send anything.
Oh, I thought Alice just said that you sent something. Okay.
No, that we
Makes
had
sense.
talked.
No, that we look at, where were the last group of goals, policies, procedures that we had not reviewed in the chapter? It was
So
like,
yeah, so we refactored all of them
Okay.
because I didn't see any reason to just do half and then still have to go back and do the other half. So all 8 of the goals and their strategies and policies have been essentially refactored according to making use of the keywords that we've seen here. I'm pretty confident that the words bar and dissuade were not used, so I don't think there will be any changes related to those 2 words. But yeah, really what I guess from a staff perspective we're hoping to hear here is excuse me, do the strategies and policies fit under the goals where they're currently situated? Are the strategies and the policies, or are we still needing to make some changes on that front?
Okay, so where do you think we should start? At number one or?
Can I start in general?
Please.
Yeah.
One area that I'm a little concerned is that when I think of strategies, I think of quantifiable actions as opposed to if we do this, like provide planning assistance to a town to accomplish a specific goal. That's a yes, we did that and got it done. And that's not the case for all of the strategies. So my question is, are the strategies supposed to be quantifiable, achievable, trackable? I'm not quite sure what the right word would be. Or are they softer than that?
I mean, my take on it is, generally speaking, they should be quantifiable, but again, I think there are a bunch of actions that we call out in the strategies that are maybe just more of a yes, we did this, no, we didn't. And
Okay.
maybe that's not the right place for those. Maybe that goes into the body of the text. Maybe
Yeah.
we don't include them at all.
Yeah, I don't want to go through each one of these 8 goals and several strategies with that question, but I would like staff to think about what level of specificity do we want in the strategies, and maybe some get backed out. And then on my earlier comment about promote and support, if you go to goal 8, and I just want to make this example because it's really pretty clear.
Sure. Can you see a
Yes.
PDF now? Or are you
Yes.
still okay?
So if you go to strategy 8.1A, and then go to policy 8.1A. They're really similar. And one's a strategy and one's a policy, but I don't know that they're differentiated. And that's the concern I've got about the support and promote difference. So again, I just want there to be a clear difference between these two. And I understand there's a reason for having the difference, that support accomplishes something in terms of funding and helping the commission do its work, but there's some overlap.
Hmm. Yeah, I see what you're saying, Doug. There's some overlap there, but
And
I would,
it's still
yeah.
early days.
yeah, I'd read it as, it's like, I think 1A, strategy 8, number 1A,
Mhm.
that sounds more like a policy to me. And I think if you're looking at a strategy, 8.1A under support is really more of an action item. Because what we would be doing is supporting programs that help people, programs and grants and stipends to help people actually do the weatherization, et cetera, that would well, it would take, yeah, and it would be that what you
So
doing.
Alice, let me just jump in really quickly here. If the policy 8.1A supporting weatherization, insulation, and HVAC upgrades, there are specific grant monies available for each of those activities. And so when a housing organization reaches out to us to ask us to provide a letter of support for a proposal that they're going to submit to weatherize homes for low and moderate income people, to me, this speaks to the specific programs that we would be supporting, whereas the strategy 8.1A, we're promoting energy efficient construction. It's a lot more general, but Sam Lash is out there working with individual communities, with their energy committees, at energy fairs, promoting this idea of energy efficient construction. So I'm not saying that this is the way it has to stay, but I'm trying to provide a little
No.
context because Doug pointed out this relationship between promote and support. So just trying to provide a little bit of background thinking there on why it's structured the way that it is.
No, I think you're right, Brian. I think I had it backwards.
Yeah, and if support accomplishes something as you described, it absolutely needs to stay that way. Maybe, yeah, I guess how do we know we're doing 8.1A? What are we doing?
Well,
Which,
the only time we would do that, Doug, is if someone asked, some organization approached us and asked us for a letter supporting their request for funding from someone else.
I'm sorry, I misspoke. How do we do 8.1A strategy? What steps do we take to do that?
So that could be working with a planning commission to update a municipal plan and focusing specifically on either their energy or housing chapters. So making folks aware of that. Again, Sam goes out to meet with select boards, planning commissions, local energy fairs and things like that, promoting or advocating for these types of ideas.
I can give some other examples because I think where I'm hearing this conversation go, from Ryan's description, I'll put it another way that might resonate is promote is the work we do, support is how we support others who are doing the work. Some of the promote work is, going to be linked to Sam. She really is very active, but she has set up a window dressers, which is a interior insulation construction program. She tracks down a little grant money, holds these community-based building sessions, so that low income or anyone really who comes to the fairs is able to add this insulation technique to their house to shore up old drafty windows. Right, that's her actually doing something.
Sure. So to me, Brian's statement of the things that the Regional Planning Commission does with towns, those are, to me, those are strategies. They're achievable. The window dressers is a strategy. And it seems like that's the kind of specific thing we would want as a strategy rather than just promote. But
I'm not sure I followed the last part there, Doug. Do you mean, I'm not sure I followed the last part there. Do you mean identifying a different action word that
well, rather than
energy efficient?
rather than just saying promote, work with local select boards and planning commissions to whatever the list was of things that you identified that we do. Work with the window dressers to but specific actions that the Regional Planning Commission does rather than just the general umbrella of promote.
Build more people, like participate in energy fairs.
Yeah. To me, that's a strategy. You go out and do it.
Secure funding. That's not one of our ones. Yeah. Pursue. Yeah, pursue in there. Pursue funding for community build projects. And you really get into like a very measurable action.
So can we go with this list? Sure. I just think a list that had more identifiable discrete tasks is more compelling. I thought, my opinion.
Yeah, I'd written down window dressers before, just looking at everything as one of the examples kind of thing.
I'm sorry, I'm not hearing.
You gotta speak up a little bit.
No, I had written window dressers before when we first started, when you first mentioned, you know, the strategy and the goal thing, just for myself, thinking about some of the things that they do, work with the towns.
I'll throw this out there is, could we then add one or two examples?
Well, I mean, that gets to
Yeah,
the idea that just popped into my head, Alice, which is that maybe some of that could be treated in the body of the text.
yeah, that too.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, Doug.
Yeah.
I also don't want to limit, you know, if we've got a strategy that says we're going to work with, you know, planning commissions, municipal planning commissions to do whatever, but then some other opportunity opens up and it's not the planning commission. It's outside of our list of strategies. It's still work that we would do, but then do we count it?
If you're wide
But
enough, you're not limited.
Yeah, so I mean, what do you think about the idea of identifying partners and or calling out specific types of activities as examples, not as the limiting list of where we might engage these activities, but treating that in the body of the chapter?
Yeah, as long as the specific is in the document and there's not a negative consequence to us by not having it in the strategy, I'm okay with that. I just think that the goals and policies are not tied to anything other than being a goal or a policy. And the strategies are tied to activities, specific things. And the closer we make that link, the better. If it's in the body of the text, that'll work.
I mean, I could even envision a matrix of sorts that identifies key partners for working on strategies.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's chapter specific or if that's just an extremely heinous and unworkable table that comes in an appendix that nobody's ever going to look at.
Thank you for saying that, Brian. I didn't have to.
I'm happy to share any of my DEC related spreadsheets that are most definitely unworkable. I've been well trained at this point, Doug. But I don't want to discount your idea either. I mean, it on the one hand, it does or would involve somewhat substantial reworking of some of these strategies. But I'm not trying to use that as sort of the decision maker. I do think that in some ways that the aspirations, goals, and strategies, and maybe to a lesser extent the policies, although not completely excluding them, in a way serve as the outline for these chapters, and that we should be addressing that content more fully in the body of the individual chapters, as well as you know, this discussion that I don't know that I've been part of, but certainly we've talked about it with staff. But I know that previous iterations of the committee, we've talked about things like call out boxes.
Yeah, I was,
And so that could be another place where we get really specific and say, like, you know, one of the things we do to promote energy efficient construction and support low and moderate income households is to participate in the window dressers.
Yeah, so maybe my recollection is that the introductory chapter of the current regional plan talks about here's the plan, here's how it works. And if one of the things it says is that the goals, strategies, and policies are given at the end of each chapter, and the body of the chapter includes the nuts and bolts supporting the strategies. That's not worded well. But the idea that there's some flag that you can look to which ties the content of the text into those strategies. The strategies look back to it.
Not worded well, but recorded for posterity, and I like that. I like the idea about that linkage, Doug. So we'll definitely
Okay.
try to make that happen in the intro chapter.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've started to wonder if some of this would have more context and make a little more sense when we actually have the full chapter,
Yeah.
the draft of the narrative. Then we can see how it all fits together.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, I hope so. Otherwise, that means the chapter is not well written, for starters. But again, in my mind, the chapter is the long form version of what we see here in the goals, strategies, and policies. So they're not independent. I mean, this is really the foundation of the chapter in my mind. If we're not advocating, I'm sorry, if we're not promoting or supporting something through our strategies and policies, we're not going to be promoting or supporting it in the body of the chapter.
Yeah.
yeah. I think that makes sense to me.
Okay.
Should we look at another section just to see if that all blows up or if it's still it still stays together?
I'm satisfied with what we've seen here, the discussion we've had, and the idea that this is still a draft. And as staff wrestles with executing all of these, maybe another cycle through improves consistency, incorporates some of this. But I think this is a great start,
Yeah,
or more than a start.
Well, thanks for that feedback, Doug. I mean, I am a little bit concerned that we go down the road of addressing this for other chapters, and I mean, I know we can't completely predict the future, right? And you're saying this is a good more than a start, which gives me some confidence in moving forward. But I really don't want us to get 5 chapters down the road and then we decide that it needs to be restructured again. And that was
What I was trying to say, Brian, was that as staff gets to doing the 4th or 5th set of these, you might want to look back and say, oh, well, we've kind of evolved the process we're doing in this direction. Is working pretty well. Maybe the first 2 need a little bit of a tune-up to tie to what the process is as it develops. I'm not talking about going back in front of the regional plan committee.
Okay. So the other question I would ask, even in this section here, you can see that there was some shuffling, right? So anything that's underlined in either the strategies or the policies, if it's underlined in a strategy, that means it was moved from the policies up into that section. That was largely based on, well, for the entire document, largely based on the input of the committee for those 4 goals that we had already covered. And then as I was working my way through this to produce this this version of the draft, it just seemed like what I learned from the parts of the document that we discussed as a committee, I tried to apply to those goals that we hadn't treated yet as a committee. And so if it's not now, that's fine, but it would be really helpful for the rest of the committee to take a look at this through that lens of, are we really reaching that tenor that we want with the strategies and the policies? Taking into account, Doug, of course, the comment that you made earlier about, having staff take another critical look at sort of the level of specificity that we want for the strategies.
Yeah. Well, I don't feel personally as though we need to go through each of the several strategies and policies that we didn't address last time. I think what we're trying to do is get consensus on what's the process, how's it work, so that the second four you wrote benefited from the discussion of the first four. I guess I kind of feel as though we have other things to cover, and maybe with a hard stop at 5:30, we need to move along. But Alice, that's your call.
Yeah, well, actually, we're Vulcan mind melded there, Doug. The question was, did you and Rich feel we should go through more of these? Or, I mean, I'm feeling like there is a good foundation here in our verbiage and in our how we're organizing strategies, policies, and goals. That it's a good model that can work for drafting drafting other chapters too. I think we're in good shape here to move forward.
Yeah, and this is Rich. I feel the same way. I think a lot was put into it, made a lot of sense. The staff changes and updates and everything seemed to be consistent and kind of flows that, kind of gets that same verbiage across for what we're trying to do in the bigger picture. So I'm very comfortable with the way it stands and everything that I went through.
Yeah, I'd like to see, like what we've been talking about, I'd like to see a draft of the whole chapter. And I think then it's all gonna fall into place for us. Okay. So do you think we can move on to the next agenda item? Yes, yes, okay. Where are we at here? We're actually ahead of the game here. Regional plan completion schedule. And this,
Yep.
the discussion. Yeah, I myself had just been feeling like, kind of, when I try to chair the meetings, I need to know this kind of thing. When do we move forward? When are we done with this? I feel like I was kind of operating in kind of this mushy time warp of what do we need to do when do we need to have things when? So this is good.
Yeah, Allison, to that end, I certainly realize I was the impediment to moving on, but if staff doesn't understand what the committee's asking for, there's kind of no point moving on. I think I'm comfortable now with where we're at. It sounds like the committee is comfortable with where we're at, in terms of this foundation. And I was reluctant to move forward with additional chapters because I didn't want to have to do the same thing multiple times. And
Yeah, I can see
I'm
that.
not saying I'm going to nail everything on a first draft, but I think we have a lot better chance as staff now of producing aspirations, goals, strategies, and policies for all of the chapters in a relatively short-ish order, while being able to make progress on other aspects of the regional plan at the same time.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, I think that, the committee's time and energy is going to be used in a more productive way for you, for staff to get these chapters written now.
So, if I can, maybe just discuss briefly what it is that you're looking at on the
Yes.
screen here. The column E, the chapters, that was just mostly for me to remember the chapters, so don't worry about anything you see there. The rows that are highlighted in blue indicate meeting dates for the regional plan committee. The rows that are just in white that are not highlighted, those are just other deadlines. And you'll see that I've got a preferred date and alternate date for each. Obviously, the goal there is to stick to the preferred timeline because either way, we're going to be bumping up pretty close to the end of 2026. Hard for me to think about planning around next Labor Day weekend and its impact on our meeting schedule when we just got out of Labor Day weekend, but that's kind of where we're at. We have 7 other chapters to deal with in terms of the aspirations, goals, strategies, and policies. So you see that we've got 3 meetings set aside for that, which means, you know, basically, well, you can do the math. That's a couple chapters every meeting, and one meeting with 3 chapters. We combine that with a future land use map review, a thorough, detailed look at the future land use map, you know, tentatively proposed for that December meeting, and we've got a pretty full slate for the next 3 months between staff time dedicated to producing the text for you to review, staff time going into almost finalizing a future land use map. You'll see there's a few other dates after that December 2nd deadline. And really, as the committee achieves consensus on the aspirations, goals, strategies, and policies piece for any given chapter, to me, that then opens the door to staff, and in all likelihood, not just me, working on the chapter drafts to get the chapters paired up with those the aspirations, goals, strategies, and policies. So other key dates on here, Tier 1B opt-in deadline, we have set for the 9th of December. We will know by that December 2nd meeting. We'll have a really good idea of which municipalities are planning to pursue Tier 1A and Tier 1B status. The opt-in deadline is really just to make sure that because we are meeting with a couple of municipalities in November to talk future land use mapping, want to make sure that their select boards or city councils have at least one meeting to deliberate on their Tier 1A, Tier 1B pursuits. So that December 9th deadline gives us that time, because when we hear from a municipality about their intentions of surrounding either Tier 1A or Tier 1B, they actually need to provide us with a map boundary for the area that they intend to pursue said designation. We've talked about this before in the future land use map topic, but we will be releasing that a draft of that map on the 10th of December. And it'll be available in a paper format for folks to come review here in the office, but also as an interactive map that folks can click into and provide commentary. And we leave about 6 weeks of time for that public comment period, recognizing, of course, that there's a fairly extended holiday season there towards the tail end of December for many folks. Other key items here relate to a presentation to the board. So sorry, let me back up here. A full plan review for the regional plan committee at the March 17th meeting. So at that point, all of the chapters will have been reviewed along with their aspirations, goals, strategies, and policies. And We would then have a few weeks to incorporate any last feedback from the committee before the committee then has a chance to review the plan in total at the March meeting. Moving into April, we would give the board a presentation on the full document and offer the board essentially two meetings, their April and May meeting, to have conversations about the regional plan, hoping to get a board endorsement that they support the document as a draft at that point at their April 14th meeting, sorry, May 12th meeting, and then submitting the draft document as part of the pre-application to the Land Use Review Board in the day or days that follow the board endorsement. That kicks off the, excuse me, the Land Use Review Board's 60-day period for their review, and they'll get that back to any feedback back to us related to that. Again, the document is still draft at that point. That 60-day pre-application period is when the Land Use Review Board has an opportunity to decide both if the plan meets all of its requirements, and to note whether they have any major objections to the draft document. So we need to provide the Land Use Review Board with 60 days to accomplish that, after which time we can then host our public hearings. So moving down through the calendar, we have a couple of, again, we don't have specific dates identified for the public hearings. We'll have at least two, but definitely two hearings in different parts of the region to hopefully increase the participation. And you'll note, and this should be, sorry, in blue here.
Those would be hosted by staff, I certainly imagine.
So
Sorry, the question came up, I'll just share it with the committee. Who would be involved in those hearings? We're currently imagining those would be staff-led hearings, recorded and publicized, but not be commissioned for necessarily a subcommittee.
I might be wrong, but there is nothing that specifies who the convener of said public hearing is in the statute. So you'll see on line 20 there that I just highlighted, we may potentially have a special meeting for the Regional Plan Committee if we're sticking to that preferred schedule for the July 28th. Again, just to provide some additional buffer between the Regional Plan Committee's final review of the document based on the incorporation of feedback received during the public hearing, feedback received from the Land Use Review Board's review of the draft version of the document, and then being able to get that in front of the full board for adoption at their August 11th meeting, which would also potentially be a special meeting for the board. Yeah, Doug.
The first public hearing and the second public hearing, are those contemporaneous hearings in two different locations, but accomplishing the same thing with more people having an opportunity? Or is it a first hearing change and second hearing with the changes?
It was the first thing you asked about. So holding the public hearings in diverse locations to increase participation. Of course, folks will be able to participate remotely as well, but basically offering two separate opportunities to comment on the draft plan as written.
Thank you.
So getting that board adoption, again, preferably at the at a potential special meeting of the board, August 11th, and getting the final application into the land use review board the next day, which then triggers their timeline for their own review and public hearing process. They have 60 days from the time they receive the final application to have their public hearing, and then within 15 days of the public hearing, they issue a determination, at which point the process has concluded, operating under the assumption that they approve our adopted plan.
The map and plan are adopted at the same time. Map, get separate.
Question for the committee members is the map part of the plan or is it treated separately? The answer is,
It's part of the plan. So both the draft version of the document and the final version of the document will include the future land use map. And that's all part of the review by the land use review board.
This is helpful. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah,
Brian, is that in the packet, that spreadsheet?
I can post it.
post it on the website again.
Yep.
Good idea.
I
Yeah.
didn't hear that exchange. Are you going to be posting or sending this out?
I can send it out to the committee if you want. My preference would just be to post this material on the website and folks can access it that way.
Okay. Let's do that. And if I don't find it, I'll give you a shout.
yeah, remind me where we find that again.
So I will put it in graphic form on the Regional Plan Committee website within the CVRPC website, but then also we'll have a PDF version of this in the supplemental materials from today's meeting. So either place would be where you could access that information.
Okay, thank you.
Now, what do you
So
need?
much like the regional plan and the future land use map being aspirational documents, I find this timeline to be aspirational as well for
Mm.
everything except for really this end date here, because again, we do need to have an adopted plan by the end of the year, and I would personally prefer to go into December, not having my anxiety meter pinging on high because we still got this work to do. I got plenty of other things that'll
Wait a
cause me
minute.
grief during that.
When you say we need to have an adopted plan by the end of the year, you mean by 26?
That is correct.
Right, okay.
Or by the first day of 2027, it needs to be adopted. Just to be absolutely clear.
I'd like to take December off. So let me phrase it that way. It'd be nice if we could hit either the 26 October or 23 November deadlines, but yeah, we do have a month of buffer if necessary. But again, I think that's putting a lot of us under stress that's maybe not necessary.
Okay. And when we go back to the deadline on applying for Tier 1B, this is going to be for select boards to decide or to submit the app.
Yep.
The select boards opt in.
Yep, so the select board or the city council will have at that point had to pass a motion that indicates their desire to opt into Tier 1 designation.
Tier 1.
Tier
Now,
1B specifically. The Tier 1A application won't come out until January of
Right.
next year.
right,
And since it's not really clear how that's all going to play out, I don't factor that into the timeline as it stands. But what I will say is, again, with the tier 1A, the municipality will be applying directly to the land use review board. And it's a land use review board decision whether or not they are going to grant that designation to that municipality. So it's really out of our hands in terms of a timeline. Given what we're looking at with our completion date, if the land use review board approves a tier 1A application for a municipality, that the only implication that has on our workflow is that I would then incorporate that boundary for tier 1A into the future land use map. And in a sense, not in a sense, it's not up to the regional plan committee or the board of commissioners at that point to dispute that. There is a dispute process as part of the tier 1A application, as well as the tier 1B opt-in. And so if there are objections, they should be noted at that time, not when it comes to hearing or reviewing the full plan.
All right, so my question is, it just, looking at what I might get slammed with here in Waitsfield, are you gonna review this tier 1-3, tier 1B application deadline in your presentation in October in your presentations that you're doing now?
Yes, we've done that with every presentation we've given, and it's why we tried to encourage the towns that might be pursuing tier 1B status to schedule their meetings early. Unfortunately, Waitsfield was not able to do that, so we're not meeting with them until October.
Yeah, I'm just thinking for myself, I'm gonna need to be well versed in it, because I know they're like heat-seeking missiles trying to find me to answer questions. So that's just an aside, knowing what I'm gonna have to do. Okay,
And well, the deadline might have not been made clear at that time, but Christian did attend a Mad River Valley Planning District meeting at one point to talk about Act 181.
Yeah, I did.
So it's not as though anyone should be caught completely blind. Alice, I guess to save your sanity, if you want to reach out to York or Brian to start that conversation and
Yeah.
or have them reach out to me so we can have just an informational session where decisions aren't made, but they get better context to be able to guide the select board's conversation around that topic. I'd be happy to meet with them. But really the onus is on the municipalities at this point. We've done
right,
a lot of outreach and spent a lot more time than anyone would want trying to schedule meetings.
I gotcha. No, yeah, we can talk a little more about this at another time.
Right, do you have a firm date for the Waterbury meeting?
We do. Every community has been scheduled at this point. I don't have it. Christian's looking right now, maybe. It's on maybe the sheet that's taped to the November 3rd.
November 3rd, thank you.
So again, Doug, that's another and we've talked to Waterbury a little bit, but another instance where you might want to encourage Tom to reach out about their tier 1A, 1B desires so that nobody's caught off guard there.
Yeah,
Yes, will do.
every planning commission, we remind each other about it. About our date and when our meeting is.
Yep, and so Alice, for active planning commissions such as the Waitsfield one, just make sure folks are, cognizant of if there's a quorum of the planning commission at said meeting that they should be aware of that.
Yeah,
Anything else about the timeline folks want to hear about?
Yeah, I just want to ask a question in terms of like we go through back up in the blue section here. The meeting's coming up, October, November, December. What do you need from us?
If you have preferred chapters for any of those meetings, by all means, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just gonna randomly draw several and try to work them through. You know, my idea is to now that I think we're on solid footing for the aspirations, goals, strategies, policies piece, is to really just do what I can to carve out time to plow through that. So it's not ideally we'll be getting you more chapters than we're going to be able to review in any one meeting.
All right.
If we can make it through 4 chapters, 3 chapters in a meeting, and we don't need all that time, I'm certainly not encouraging us to belabor anything. I'm just thinking realistically, you know, if we've got one meeting where we talk about 2 different chapters, the aspirations, goals, strategies, and policies for 2 to potentially 3 chapters, that's going to fill up, you know, an hour and a half worth of meeting time pretty quickly. Nikki and I are getting a little bit ahead on the agenda, but Nikki and I are scheduled for 2 evening meetings per week for every week between now and November. So I don't envision us having the ability to extend meeting times, you know, to 6 o'clock until after the November time.
What about perhaps starting at 3:30?
I think if there's a reason to, we could do that. But you know, for selfish reasons, I personally would rather not. I do wear about 17 other hats here and need some time outside of regional plan committee meetings to meet other obligations.
Yeah. Well,
You know, if we aren't able to do 2 chapters in the hour and a half time frame, then that means I'm just going to need to reorganize my own schedule to accommodate an extended regional plan committee meeting.
yeah,
But as a default, I'd prefer not to go there currently.
yeah, but I'm just saying, be aware that at some point, we may be trying to carve some of your time with your like have you take one of your 17 other hats off for an extra half hour, maybe.
Well, it seems simple. It's not necessarily. And I think
Well,
if
I'm
we
not
stick
saying
to
it's, yeah,
the
yeah,
if
I'm
we
not
stick to
saying-
the approach where the committee comes in with big ideas, you review the text, you come in with big ideas, and we get away from the wordsmithing model, we should be able to cover 2 chapters in an hour and a half. Otherwise, maybe I'm not doing my job very well in preparing the materials for the meeting.
What thought have you given Brian to a second review with the plan committee if it's needed on a chapter?
I mean, if it's needed, Doug, and we might need to, at that point, dip into special meetings. So that might be a case where we have a second meeting in one of those months.
Hmm.
Again, not my preferred approach, because if we have a second meeting, I'm prepping for a second meeting and not advancing other things. But
So-
if the situation warrants, it's not a hard no.
I mean, I think we all know there are a few chapters that are easier than some of the other chapters and a few
Yeah.
chapters that are harder than the other chapters.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think trying to keep that high level review stuff, you know, should help us smooth through there. You guys did a great job pulling the other stuff together, the other chapters.
Yeah, I mean, the way I envision it is if we can get something close-ish, again, not expecting that every draft of every set of aspirations, goals, strategies, and policies will be perfect, but if we can get it close-ish to the mark that we hit with the housing chapter, that we get the high level feedback. I think that's a policy and that's a strategy. Even, excuse me, even coming into the meeting, so that staff could then respond to the feedback that's provided prior to the meeting, and we agree as a committee on the path forward for, oh yeah, that really is a policy instead of a strategy. That to me is a more efficient way to have a conversation about this.
Now, on the future land use map, what do you need from us?
More hours in the day and or a time machine. You know, the
I can
future land
maybe-
use map. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I can maybe get you a TARDIS.
The future land use is, we've got the methodology to follow. And in my mind, really of course, the committee is welcome to weigh in as they see fit, but we don't want to vary from the methodology unless we feel like it's necessary, because if we vary from the methodology, when we go in front of the land use review board to talk to them about the plan and the map, we need to be able to justify why we varied from the methodology.
Yeah.
So, I know that parcels closer to your home have more meaning to you, and I'm not picking on anyone. This is just you in general. But unless there's a good reason to vary from the methodology, to me, I will talk about how we implemented the methodology and how we landed where we did. And if folks have objections based on their own personal knowledge of the location, let's talk about it. And if it rises to the level of making a change, then we do that and we work together to write the justification for said change. But beyond that, I'm not sure that there is as expansive of a role in feedback on the future land use map as I see on the content of the chapters themselves. And if you can remember, I can't. I don't remember when the first time is we talked about the future land use map together, but basically I was saying, we've got these core areas, the downtown centers, the planned growth areas, the village centers, etc., that we define and expand as we're able to based on the methodology and the legislation. Then we've got these rural areas, again, a little less easy to define, but relatively easy in the grand scheme of things. There were those sort of gray colored areas that it was sort of where the methodology is not explicit enough to preclude some subjectivity. And it's in those areas where I see the role of the Regional Plan Committee providing feedback. Now, we've talked a little bit about this in a previous meeting where it seemed as though the consensus was, to lean in a bit more to the rural designations for some of these outlying areas versus trying to fit them into areas where we'd like to see development. So it'll be interesting to see how that conversation plays out with a map that's a little bit further down the line. So, I see at future meetings of the Regional Plan Committee, when the map is a bit more fleshed out, me highlighting these quote unquote problem areas. It doesn't necessarily fit into this box and it doesn't necessarily fit perfectly into this box. What direction is the Regional Plan Committee encouraging staff to follow at that point?
Mhm.
And it be looked at in the interim.
I would prefer not to, because it is so draft that I'm not interested in general feedback at this point. But I don't know that I have the authority to say no, so we'll have to figure that out. The question was from Mr. Whitaker asking if the map could be looked at in the interim.
I need the interim of what?
Between now and December 9th.
December 2nd?
December 10th, it showed it being released for public comment.
Ah,
And
I mean,
you'll have 6 weeks for public comment, so. Again, my preference would be that we hold to that. If there's a reason why we need to release that otherwise, then we'll do that.
Well, could I just comment on it?
I would prefer not to. We've got 9 minutes and we've still got some material to
Yeah.
cover here as a committee.
Alice, briefly, can I just suggest that the sooner people can get eyes on it and take comments from their constituents, the more people can get familiar with it, so it won't be a mad scramble at the end. With the clear understanding that it's all draft.
I don't personally see the benefit of
Yeah,
people
I-
getting up in arms about a very draft document.
yeah, I would say somewhere in between, this committee will have its chance to weigh in before it goes to public comment. It is a long public comment period.
Yeah.
It won't be rushed, it's 6 weeks. And you know, there will be, this committee will have public conversations on it as well.
But not until December.
This committee normally be sooner than that, I think.
Oh, because that's why
That would be-
I'm raising it, is because it's showing it not hidden.
All right, we can certainly try and sort that out, but yeah, I don't think it's in any shape to be viewed yet. Um,
Yeah. and it needs
in
to
the
be
meantime, what is next on the agenda, Brian?
So just a quick rundown on the future land use map. I just want to update folks on the municipalities that Nikki and I have been out to since the last meeting. We went to Berry City, Berry Town, attempted to visit with the city of Montpelier. And at 10:15 at night, Mike Miller asked if it would be okay if they rescheduled our presentation to another meeting. So I am going to Montpelier's meeting next week. I believe that's on the 10th. Again, I don't have these dates committed to memory, but we do have them written down somewhere. City council meetings are on Wednesday. Yeah, so I'll be at Montpelier on next Wednesday, and Christian and Nikki will go out to Orange that night. We had to do a little divide and conquer because of reprogramming the Montpelier night. Takeaways from, oh, and sorry, and last night we went to the town of Washington. So in brief, takeaways from the berries. Berrytown seemed a bit reluctant to pursue a tier 1B designation. So they haven't said no for sure, but they were a little concerned about the onus that puts on staff for all of the various requirements that are necessary for meeting that tier 1B standard. So I encouraged them to reach out to us. Brandon, who is their zoning, planning and zoning administrator, in particular, to reach out to us so that we could game out some scenarios to show him what areas might qualify for a tier 1B designation. And I expect we'll hear from Brandon at some point in the not too distant future to talk about that. Berry City, which was one of our municipalities that we thought maybe might be interested in pursuing tier 1A. I was a bit surprised to learn that they're even on the fence about tier 1B. So same story there. Encouraged Janet to work with staff here and or try to find a time when someone could go to a planning commission meeting to have that conversation with the planning commission to see if they think Tier 1B would be a good fit for certain locations in town. Again, nothing definitive from Berry City, but it was my understanding that they did not seem all that excited about pursuing a Tier 1A designation. So again, I was a little surprised to hear that, but that was the general consensus of the city council. I think they were feeling more like it would be better to be in a wait and see mode and maybe let some of the other bigger cities grapple with whatever surprises come down the pipe with that Tier 1A designation. In the town of Washington, there was less focus on the Tier 1A and 1B, and we spent more time having conversation about the implications of the Tier 3 designation. Again, as a quick reminder, that's not something we have control over. That is a designation that will be developed by the Agency of Natural Resources and the Land Use Review Board. So
And I sent everyone the first draft. Did everybody get it of the Tier 3? I verified that that document I sent is is the current Tier 3.
When did you send it, Alice?
Maybe after I'll send it out again.
Okay,
Or
thank you.
send you the link. I'll do it again.
it is on the Land
On
Use
the
Review
website.
Board website now, and I think it's version 2 of the
Mhm.
document. Did want to note just one last thing about future land use map, because we are about to hit time here. That I was contacted by the Land Use Review Board to participate in a working group. So it sounds like they're going to take the draft as far as they can, and then there is a series of 4 meetings that they have invited I'm assuming a broad array of stakeholders. Certainly wasn't privy to the whole list of invitees, but that is a set of meetings that I have programmed my time around as well. So I should be able to make 3 of the 4 of those meetings. So with that, let's see, heading to Moortown tonight, and then as I mentioned, Montpelier and Orange and one other municipality next week. So
Williamstown.
Williamstown,
On
yep,
Monday.
on Monday. Thank you. It's always good to have the rep from the town here at the meeting to remind me of where I'm going. So yeah, so we'll have Williamstown, Orange, and Montpelier out of the way next week. And by the time we meet again in the first week of October, I think we'll be more than halfway through all of the municipalities, and I'll have a bit more to report out then.
Yeah. Everybody, keep in mind that our next meeting is October 7th, it looks like.
That is correct. Yep.
So you're free for the rest of September, but not really.
Speak
Okay.
for yourself.
Okay, so here it is. It's 5:30. Was there anything else on the agenda, Brian?
There is not.
Okay, so Brian needs to pack up and head to Moortown, which isn't that long of a ride, and it isn't that long of a ride to your house after that.
It's nice to be going towards home. Yep.
I suggest you use Pony Farm Road, not the little bridge that can't only anymore. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
And I guess Doug, you'll second it, okay? And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I guess we have nobody opposed, right? Nobody abstaining. So, okay, you're all released.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.